Welcome, folks. This is House Corrections and Institutions Committee. It is Friday, February 27th. We have with us the chair of House Judiciary Committee to go over some language that they are working on and hopefully we'll be voting on shortly. Updating, changing the definition of recidivism. And I asked the chair to come in to give us the language and talk it through, because I know that there's always been a lot of conversations in here about recidivism and how programs that are instituted within DOC or in the criminal justice system impact recidivism. And I think there's a lot of different interpretations of what recidivism is and how it gets calculated. Right now, and correct me, Martin, if I'm wrong, the current definition of recidivism, which a committee went through a few weeks ago, is in a 3-year period of time, a person would commit a new crime. That's it in simplicity in terms of what it is. So there's a time frame there. It is not like they are released and bam, there's a new crime automatically. That's called recidivism. There's got to be some time frame in there over a period of time for that. I hope I was right in explaining that. Kind of.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's, yes.
Sort of. So I'm going to turn it over to Martin, if you could identify yourself for the record.
I sure will. Martin Lalone, representative from South Burlington, Shipman 12, chair of the House Judiciary Committee, and sponsor of H410. So it's very different from as introduced, but it fundamentally is redefining recidivism, but doing some other things. So the big picture is that it's creating a new chapter in Title 13. We're calling it criminology measures. It's a place where we're going to have the definition of recidivism and where we are going to place annual reports that we will instruct various entities. In this case, in this bill, the Statistical Analysis Center, also known as Crime Research Group. And I think this is important because you'll understand how the definition of recidivism will work for reports. So the definition is on page 1, lines 10 to 16, and it's very straightforward. It is the criminal act, or that a relapse into a criminal activity is evidenced by an individual who is convicted of a criminal offense after receiving a criminal conviction for a previous crime. The date of recidivism event is the date of arraignment for the convicted subsequent offense. Explain this in a moment. The arraignment date is used as a proxy for when the subsequent offense was committed. And the recidivism rate shall be calculated using a 3-year and 5-year period. So the idea is there's different places where you can look at the timing for when somebody recidivates, when somebody commits another crime. And different states and different places do it a little bit differently. We're trying to take as straightforward of approach as possible. That you look at the crime, the conviction, the previous conviction, and then you look at when the next conviction has occurred. But to get the timing right, you look back at the arraignment date, because that kind of gets it closer to when the crime actually was committed. It still has to be a second conviction, but just to see if it's within 3 or 5 years, you go back to the arraignment date. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. The arraignment date is something that it is readily available. You know, we had Crime Research Group in going over this last year and a couple times this year, and really this is where we settled on, as opposed to looking at the actual conviction date, or for the second or subsequent crime, or the arrest date. There's some places you ask for arrest date. So that's the definition that this would provide, and I can go on a little bit. So you will see in the second section in here, Vermont Statistical Analysis Center annual reports. I don't know if I need to go over all those. We're looking for a bail report for arrest and clearance rates, which will kind of give us an idea of crime rates, essentially, and then recidivism. So we're going to have them report annually a recidivism rate measuring individuals who are convicted of a criminal offense after receiving a criminal conviction for a previous crime, and that will be measured according to the arraignment date. I'll wait for questions on that and then I can go forward and tell you what's happening with the current definition of recidivism.
That's where I'm headed, the current definition.
Yeah, so what this bill does,
Before we get there, I just have a question. Mark.
Yeah, no, just real
Well-
quick, it's very minor, but about previous crime, is there a definition statute for what would define a previous crime or just any kind of criminal?
I mean, it would be a conviction.
Okay,
But a conviction also, just to make clear, a conviction does include a plea bargain where there is, a consequence. That's understood. So it's not just somebody who goes through trial, which is a very small number of people. It's any probation. And that's the big thing that's different from the current definition, which it just looks at incarceration. This is probation, incarceration, could be other, sent to treatment, there could be deferred sentence. There's different ways that somebody can be held responsible for the crime that is not being incarcerated and still considered a conviction.
So the key is the person needs to have been convicted of the previous crime.
Correct.
Not that they created a previous crime and it hasn't finished going through the
Correct.
judicial process. They need an actual conviction.
That's correct.
People understand that? Troy and then Brian.
Do you have, I don't need this, but I'm just curious, what's the current sort of span between arraignment and conviction right now?
Oh, it's,
Do you want me to read it?
No, I'm just, in practice, what are we seeing right now?
well, it depends on what kind. So there are standards that the court looks at to try to, or goals really, that for a misdemeanor, they try to clear a case, meaning that from arraignment through to conviction of 180 days. That's not always happening.
Right.
For felonies, that goal is 365 days. That is or isn't happening. That's all caught up in the clearance rates and the stuff that we've been looking at as far as whether they're meeting their goals.
Does that matter? And
It shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
thank you.
I mean, there could be within a 3-year period of time, somebody has arraigned, but their conviction happens outside that 3-year period of time. So that won't be counted initially as the 3-year recidivism rate. The next study that may apply, or it may apply for the 5-year, because it would be the 5 years. So that's kind of in part why we have 3-year and 5 year.
So it's a calculation of the recidivism rate.
Correct.
This seems super obvious or you may have discussed it before I came in, but the date from which you're comparing is the date of release. So when you do the 3 and 5 year, is that in there?
It's the date, no, it is the date of conviction for the previous crime.
For the previous one, okay.
So, I mean, you could be in prison and commit another crime in prison, frankly, or when you're on probation.
Yeah,
So and that would be a new crime, but you won't count until there's the conviction.
okay.
But it says here, the date of the recidivism event is the date of the arraignment for the convicted subsequent offense.
Right.
So you need the conviction
Correct.
of the offense, but then you go back to when the actual arraignment was for that
That's
offense.
for the subsequent offense. I'm talking to the previous offense.
Okay.
It is the conviction.
It's the conviction.
Correct.
Not release.
Yes, not the conviction.
And
Kevin?
if someone's arraigned and convicted, but now I'm gonna show my ignorance, but there's a plea bargain. Are those two different things?
That's considered a conviction as
That's
well.
considered a conviction. Okay.
And the one other thing, it could just be a fine as well. And that's also
That's
a criminal fine. That's a conviction as well.
They went through the criminal justice system and they resolved the case.
Shall I move on? So what we do with the current recidivism measure, we could have renamed it something else, but we heard from DOC, not used. We heard from other witnesses over the past year, it's never used. So what this proposes is just repealing it, striking that. And you see that at the bottom of page 3. And then on page 4, any other place where recidivism is mentioned in the statutes that we could track down, that refers to that definition in 28 VSC 4 is also repealed.
Where do you? See-
That's on page 4.
I know, but I'm looking, this is my question. You've repealed the definition in Title 28, Section 125, which I get. And then in the report section, 2A, you've repealed recidivism rates, right?
Correct.
So if you look at what on line 8, recidivism has the same meanings as in Section 4 of this title.
Mhm.
You go to Section 4 of this title is a standard measure of recidivism.
Mhm.
That has not been repealed that I can see. Because what Section 4 of Title 28 is saying, the department shall calculate the rate of recidivism based upon offenders who are sentenced to more than 1 year of incarceration, who after release from incarceration return to prison within 3 years for a conviction of a new offense or a violation of supervision resulting in the new incarceration sentence or time served on the violation is at least 90 days. So where does that section get repealed?
That's on the bottom of page 3, section 2.
Okay, that's what I was looking, okay, that's what I was.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Because I
that,
was looking. So my next question is DOC uses the term of recidivism in a lot of different situations. Should there be a cross-reference in Title 28 to this definition in Title 13? Because you're putting the definition in Title 13, then there's no definition in Title 28, which deals with corrections. So
But I
I'm
think-
wondering if there needs to be some linkage to indicate when corrections, in the world of corrections, you talk about recidivism, and then there's nothing in Title 28 that talks about a definition of recidivism.
Right.
I'm wondering if we refer somehow in Title 28 to the definition of recidivism in Title 13. Cross linkage.
I would leave that for you to figure out. Because I don't know the answer to that, and that would be up to you.
Because we've been dealing with this, what was it we just did? What bill did we just do? Driver's license, it was driver's license.
Yes.
ID for folks who are incarcerated. It's not in Title 28. It's in the Department of Motor Vehicles title. So in the world of DOC, you want to find out, can folks who are incarcerated have access to IDs? So you go to Title 28, there's nothing there. And people wouldn't think to go to the title that deals with the Agency of Transportation.
So I think that's what we tried to capture in this section 3, where recidivism was in Title 28, and that it would be repealed. But so
If you've repealed it, then there's nothing in Title 28 that defines recidivism.
correct.
By repealing those two sections, and there's nothing. And I'm just wondering if we should have a reference in Title 28 that when the term recidivism is used at any time in any of our statutes in Title 28, it has the meaning of Title 13.
Sure. So
Thank you.
I'm happy to leave that with you. And you can, and you can tell me, right, and you can tell me the language that you wish, and we won't vote this today. We'll take it up when we get back after break. But I need to run because I'm gonna lose my committee unless I get back.
Does that make sense to the committee?
Yep, I mean, Hillary literally just did it.
Right, Hillary just did it in one of our bills. We could,
Okay, yeah,
That-
fine. I'll wait on you guys to come up with what you want for that, and I'll put it on for when we get back after break.
that works for me.
Okay,
We hope.
but if it's okay, I can.
So Kevin has a question.
Curious, I assume there's no federal definition of recidivism.
I
Don't know.
probably there is. I don't know
But
what.
it would be used for federal,
Yeah,
folks going through the federal system. They wouldn't have a definition for recidivism that all states would be
well,
used.
that's what I'm asking. To me, it seems like it would be wonderful if there was one definition of that word
There's lots of different.
I
Definitions.
understand, but just wondered if we had looked to see what a majority of at least states, or if there was a federal, then to jump on board and so we're all standardized makes understanding the situation so much better rather than coming up with our own in Vermont. So that's,
No, that's a good point. And we had a crime research group who's done a lot of studies and they looked at different recidivism definitions. There was actually a group last summer, I think it was, or maybe no, 2 summers ago, including state's attorney, attorney general, some other folks that looked at this and this tracks with what they came up with.
Yeah.
So yeah, that work's been done.
Yeah.
Also, states are different, and we want to honor the
Mhm.
autonomy of states and their rights. Right?
I'm all for federalism. Big fan of federalism.
Anything
Is
else?
that okay?
Me too.
I'm on to make my.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. And thank
Speed is the end of the hall.
Supervision.
Yes, thank you.
And I had a conversation with Trevor this morning
Yep.
about it, and we're gonna have to work. I said, well, it's gonna be mostly in your bailiwick, but it will be a little bit in our bailiwick in terms of beefing up the accountability docket and how that's gonna look like, what's being proposed of the money for pretrial, how that money will be distributed or what it will look like. But also, we want to make sure that there's a DOC person in that courtroom during the accountability docket. So that will be our focus. But Trevor wants to get some direction on the use of those dollars.
Right, all right. I will reach out to state's attorneys, defense counsel and courts. I mean.
We'll reach out.
Okay.
And we'll reach out to DOC.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good week.
Sorry, I didn't see it on the bottom of page 3. I was too focused on page 4. Going to the statute. Did he say he would connect with Hillary? Or is it us? It's us.
Us. And yes, there should be a connection in the two.
There's got to be a connection between the two. Brian?
It's clearly he was in a hurry and it seemed like the question had been asked and answered, but it's not actually answered up here, which is if you're doing date 2 minus date 1, it's not clear to me. You know, I see in the definition that we're talking about the arraignment for the convicted, or sorry, we're talking about the conviction of the previous crime. But where is it clear that the calculation is based on that date, the date of conviction, as opposed to the date of release or any other date you choose? That calculation is not clear to
Aside
me.
from the use of the word fiction, but
Right, but yeah,
We could, if people are interested, when we get back on that Tuesday, if we have time, we could see if we could get Hillary and walk us through this.
yep. I mean, if it's clear enough, I don't object. So like, you know,
I wasn't focused totally on this because I was looking more for the connection. When I saw Title 13 in Section
Yeah.
1, I was, wait a minute, I know recidivism's in Title 28, and that's what I was
Right.
more focused on.
if you knew that, a lot of people won't.
Right,
Right.
I mean, that's where my eyes went right off, and you said Title 13, because
My misunderstanding may come from common usage or just because I'm me, but you know, I think about a person getting out and you know, how long after them getting out does something occur?
Right, and what triggers that? Is it a violation of conditions, which doesn't trigger unless that violation is a crime?
Sure.
right, if
And I-
you're convicted and then sentenced for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then released,
Yeah,
the clock starts. That's right. And
From the time.
you're
of
already
release.
beyond 3 years because your conviction,
right.
because of your sentence.
Yeah, that's how this apparently works. That's
Right.
not clear to me from
But
the,
what I'm saying is, right, if you want to accurately track crimes committed within a 3-year span of time, and you're using the start date as conviction date rather than release date, 3 years is already over.
yep.
So then you're released.
Well, that's
Come-
why maybe they
come.
have the recidivism rate.
Agreed?
That's right, maybe that's why they have the recidivism rate shall be calculated using a 3-year and 5-year,
I get that, but the start of the clock
when the clock starts.
is
It's the
going to.
arraignment of.
It's a rain.
No, that's on the second,
That's
second.
That's variable
But
Y.
on the first, yeah, variable X is on the initial conviction, not the initial release. And you're not going to recidivate that you're not likely going to recidivate while you're incarcerated.
You
You
can't.
could,
Yeah.
you could,
Could,
you
but
could.
the measure, what we're trying to measure is once I'm out, how quickly did I recidivate?
Yep.
And if you want that clock to start to accurately measure a 3-year span of time, I'm with Brian. I think you might want to start that upon release, not upon initial conviction.
Yep.
Right.
Depends what you want to measure.
Yeah.
That's coming, yeah,
Often their
I
business
know,
to do that.
I agree what you're saying, the two of you, and I'm sitting here going, it's different worlds that the two committees are dealing with. They're dealing with the front end, we deal with the back end.
Well,
I
whatever.
wonder if that's something that should be brought up.
Yeah, you're getting up in their business, but yeah.
Well, yes and no, because you're really talking, if they're incarcerated, that's our world.
Yep.
You're talking of when they were first convicted. And their sentence is 3 or 4 years,
right.
right? And the recidivism rate kicks in when they're convicted.
Right, you've already used up
You've
most.
already used up your clock.
Yeah.
And they haven't committed a new crime while they're incarcerated, which they could. But most people don't. Then when they're released, that's already gone.
So, right, so they're released after, so let's do this, they're released after a 5-year sentence, they served maximum, they served their entire 5 years. So their conviction, date, 5 years, they've been sentenced the entire time, they get out, and 5 days later, they recidivate.
Yeah.
That does not count as recidivism because you're counting the release date. You're not counting the release date, you're counting the conviction date.
Precisely. It's a good point, isn't it?
I'm looking at you, Brian.
Depends what you want to measure.
No.
That's who's interested.
No, I'm looking at you because I'm thinking we need some conversations with Martin.
Oh, God.
Yeah, right. I know.
I love him. Homeboy.
I know, we're in the same town.
We are?
I think this.
Sounds like something to ponder over.
Can the two of, we gotta take a lunch break because we have to be back here. I hate to do this. We have to be back here by noon.
It's almost break, we're good.
But John only
I
has.
think I won too, pal.
12.
And we got a 1 o'clock with it, so
You have a 1 o'clock with,
Gina, myself and Brian.
okay, so let's take a 15-minute lunch. If we have to bring food back, bring it back. Okay,